Call of Duty been lying to us? Yeah. Today, we're diving deep into some big questions being raised in the COD community to find out the truth. Today, we're taking a look at a video by XclusiveAce and possibly one by JGod as well, where we're talking about COD Fatigue and whether or not Call of Duty just constantly lies to us, which obviously we know at this point, it's all a crock of crap. They constantly tell us lies, and you know what? We have proof. So we're going to be diving into a video by XclusiveAce titled, "Is Skill Really Minimally Considered in Black Ops 7? And you might be asking yourself, Expel, you know, we're talking about Warzone on the channel usually. What's going on here? Well, with Warzone's integration to Black Ops 7 coming on December 4th, we're getting the open matchmaking. Does that mean they're going to do the exact same thing, rug pulling us as they did in Black Ops 7? So let's go ahead and take a look at what XclusiveAce has to say.
What's up guys, my name is Ace, and it does appear we have a problem with Black Ops 7's multiplayer, and potentially a fairly big one that I wanted to shed some light on today, now that we've had some proper time for things to settle in. Now, a couple days after the game came out, there was a lot of talk about skill-based matchmaking not really feeling minimal, and
to be clear, I am one of those people that have constantly been saying, yeah, this isn't right. Like, I'm not someone that struggles, and I'm annoyed as hell with there being skill-based matchmaking in the game. I get it. I understand why it exists. But I also think that if you're going to say that it is minimally considered, you have to actually minimally consider that all right? You cannot just bold-faced lie to your community and be like, yeah, so it should be fine. And I watched a video by Merc Music where he actually did some testing himself to compare the differences between hopping into an open matchmaking match and hopping into the standard matchmaking, which, by the way, screw you, Call of Duty, for saying that. That's ridiculous. You know the mind games that you're playing by calling that standard matchmaking. That's some bull. That absolutely is some bull. But either way, he got 40 seconds in both of them. So clearly, skill is being considered in a big way.
Definitely not as minimal as the open matchmaking in the beta build of the game. And at the time, I shared just some of my subjective experiences with SBMM, and essentially what my experience was like at the time was that when I played solo, it did seem like I was seeing more of a mix than we've been seeing in recent years of Call of Duty with the more strict SBMM system. And while I still consider my lobbies to generally be skewing in the above average direction, that would be expected to some degree when skill is minimally considered, because skill is still a factor in the matchmaking. It's not the no SBMM playlist, it's the matchmaking where skill is quote unquote minimally considered.
Hey there, Editor Expel here. We're getting dangerously close to 450,000 subscribers on the channel, so I would love it if you'd help out by making sure you have subscribed. Anytime now. Okay, thanks. And I have to say, instead of doing that, there is a simple fix to this. There is going to be a protected bracket of players, those that are god-awful, physically couldn't move the thumbsticks on a controller. There should be a protected bracket of players. And then anything above that is fair game. If you are a grown-ass adult with the ability to use a controller or a mouse and keyboard, everybody gets fair game, because then you get a mix of good players sometimes, bad players sometimes. Everybody evens out at some point, but it is random, and it's all based on your location. Just base it off of your ping, which means if you're trying to get to the closest server, you know what happens? You find that closest server and instantly you're into a match. There should not be a 40-second wait time, regardless of what playlist you hop into. That is ridiculous. And right now in Warzone, it is taking me upwards of 15 minutes to get into a solo match. That is absurd. That is insane. It is crazy.
Now, in saying that, the big thing I noticed is the moment I partied up with anybody, regardless of their skill level, it really seemed like a totally different matchmaking experience, and the lobbies were suddenly far more difficult, even if I was just playing with one other person compared to playing solo. Since that video, we've had another week or so of the game to play and for things to settle in a bit more, and I do feel my experience has been changing as time has been going on. I don't know if something has changed on the back end or if maybe just more data is being collected on my account or something, but I have been feeling like my matchmaking times are going up.
Now, I'm going to take a note here. XclusiveAce is actually someone that went through and he pulled a bunch of data. There was a time where a lot of people were going through and pulling their data from Activision. You could literally ask them, hey, I want to know what data you have on me, because legally they have to be able to give you that information. So a bunch of people did that. They sent it all to XclusiveAce, and he tested how that like ELO score works to see how Call of Duty is working with the matchmaking system. And the whole thing was very clearly built around retention, which means you could tell whenever it was like, let's throw them a bone, let's not throw them a bone. They built it that way. It was engagement optimized matchmaking. Like, it was point blank. You can go watch his video on this. This is maybe like a year old. We saw what the matchmaking system was. So we know that they are pulling a crap load of information. Like, so much, it's actually insane what they're pulling. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you try and find that video on XclusiveAce's channel, because it is very interesting to see all the stuff that they pull just to figure out what lobbies they want to throw us into.
My connection quality is no longer nearly as consistent as it was early on and as it was in the open matchmaking in the beta build of the game. And then on top of that, I've been noticing that more often than not, my lobbies are a lot more difficult than they were in the first few days. And that's not to say that I haven't been getting some easier lobbies here or there, although more often than not, when I get an easier lobby, that just means my teammates are really bad and is really relying on me to carry the team, and generally I can still...
Again, another big issue is team balancing, knowing that they're giving you a lobby where the other team is incredible. That stuff does not make sense to me. Every time I've played multiplayer for the past 5 years, I've been up here and I've had 5 players that went negative. Every time. I think maybe like a handful of times I've had one person that went positive. I'm not talking like a 2 KD. I'm talking like a 1.1. What the hell? What is that? What is that team balancing? Like, what is this algorithm that they've got? It is the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Perform quite well in those lobbies, but I'm often still losing those games by a pretty noticeable margin while feeling like I'm dominating the enemy team, which is always very interesting. But I mean,
yeah, I can drop a 6 KD in Black Ops 7 and my whole team has 0.3 KDs. I don't get it.
Team balancing does make sense, as frustrating as that can be to have that happen on a fairly consistent basis. So now that things have settled in a little bit and I have been experiencing this, or I felt like I was experiencing this more, I wanted to do some basic tests at least, just to see if there are any trends that I can notice. Keeping in mind this isn't a really big scientific study or anything, the sample size is fairly small on this, but I was just curious to test what the time to matchmaking was like, as well as my ping value on my...
And again, this is what I'm saying happened with Merc Music. He made a video on this. I watched the whole thing, and it was super interesting to see what he had to say about it, because it was like, he literally just hopped in and he was like, I'm going to test this playlist. I'm going to test this playlist. I'm going to test this playlist. And he went through different things and compared it. And it always ended up with like standard being just as sweaty almost.
My main account versus my bot account, which is what I use for like offline testing.
Sorry, not taking, it's taking the same amount of time.
For my videos. And I just wanted to see if there was a notable discrepancy between these two. In my eyes, this is the best testing methodology we have right now to test the like quote unquote strength of matchmaking. It's not a perfect method of testing this. Ideally, we would have access to the API so we could see other players' stats.
But they don't want us to have that. That's another thing where they're like shielding certain information, and that's absolutely not okay. This kind of information is stuff that just allows them to get away with all the bad shit they've been doing for the past 5 years. And keep in mind, they shielded away this information the year after Modern Warfare 2019, because everybody was using it during Modern Warfare 2019 whenever that API was being shared, right? So the next year, after people were constantly using it and websites were like keeping up with like, okay, this is your stats, this is your stats, this is the kind of lobby that you're getting, this is the kind of they didn't want us to know the kind of lobbies that people were getting, because it allowed people to see when people were like reverse boosting, using VPNs, stuff like that. So Call of Duty's like so stupid for thinking that we're not going to figure this stuff out. And in fact, I'm going to go through some of the comments on his video in a little bit if we have a little time left over. But it's so insane, because even just like the most casual players now know about all the bad stuff that they do.
Our lobby, we could collect all that and see how everybody stacks up against each other, but that's something we don't have access to. So instead, by looking at the amount of time it takes to matchmake, if there is a big discrepancy on the same system with all the same settings and the only variable that's changing is the account, then that can at least potentially give us a pretty solid indication of skill causing some issues here and being considered a little more heavily than the matchmaking time and or the ping. So what I did here is across both accounts, I turned crossplay on and I searched for 10 matches on each account using just the quick play TDM filter, just because TDM tends to be a very popular game mode and therefore there should be plenty of lobbies available.
In fact, TDM is the one game mode that you can go into any game and find like a match in. Like TDM is constantly going to be the one thing where if you go back to Black Ops 2, you can play it. If you go back to COD 4, you can play it. Like it is always going to be the mode. So this is always the best way to test it, is to check TDM
at any given time of the day. And also keep in mind, I did control for time of day. I tested my first 5 lobbies on my main account. Then I immediately swapped over to my bot account, did all 10 lobbies there. And then I came back to my main account for the final 5. So I kind of sandwiched them all together. So they were all tested within the same rough time of day, because time of day does play a big factor when it comes to matchmaking. And then with that, I just timed how long it took me to get into a lobby, and then I marked down the ping value I was experiencing in that game as well. And here are the results that I found across 10 games on each account.
Whoa. Okay, you can't see it under my camera, but I'll zoom in. So you can see right here, match 1 on his main account. Most of these are high. You see what I'm saying? Like they all skew higher. So you can see the average right here ends up being 34 and the other one seems 28. So clearly matchmaking is a big deal. It changes your ping. They do focus on like your skill rather than your latency, which is absurd.
As you can see, when it comes to time to matchmake, on average on my main account, it took 34 seconds to get into a lobby, whereas with my bot account, it took 28 seconds. So a little bit faster on average on the bot account, but I mean, that's not a massive discrepancy or anything. A few extra seconds to matchmake on average, that's not really a huge deal to me. More importantly though, let's have a look at the average ping values. With my main account,
Whoa, okay, so once again, this is his ping. So like I said, they care more about your skill than they do about the server. So it all comes down to literally like Call of Duty wanting to make sure that you are in your skill bracket rather than making sure that you are connected to a good server.
My average ping in those 10 matches was 42 milliseconds. That is quite a significant difference. And again, the only thing that has changed here, I controlled for all the variables. The only thing that has changed is the account that I'm playing on. It's the same system, same internet connection, same crossplay options, same time of day. And my connection experience was very noticeably worse on my main account versus my bot account across these 10 matches. And it's also interesting to point out, the best ping that I can get to a Call of Duty server is 20 milliseconds. And my bot account was at least within 5 milliseconds of that best ping value in 8 out of the 10 matches that I found. My main account, 1 out of 10 matches. And the gameplay you're seeing in the background is that 1 out of 10 matches. So while I do want to reiterate, this isn't a massive, proper scientific...
Oh, and you know what? If you've been paying attention to the gameplay, I almost mentioned something about it. If you've been paying attention to the gameplay, he's literally been going around and these guys are running like this. Like they're lost in the sauce. So clearly, whenever skill is less used and they're just tossing him a bone, which is engagement optimized motherfucking matchmaking, then he gets better ping. Isn't that weird? Isn't that such an interesting thing to see here?
Scientific study by any means, it does seem to suggest a trend is present with this. And it does validate the experience I've been having over the past week, where it just seems that I'm not getting the consistency of gameplay experience as well as ping that I remember getting in the open matchmaking in the beta at least. Unfortunately, in the beta, I wasn't doing any data collection when it comes to this. I just know that once they added open matchmaking, I remember praising the fact that it seemed more often than not, I was getting my best possible ping experience, or like within 5 milliseconds. I was getting a roughly 20 to 25 millisecond ping more often than not, with the odd outlier here or there that would have been like in the 40s or maybe even 50s. But most of my games in the beta, from what
Dude, look at him getting slammed because he has a teammate.
I remember, at least, we're in the 20s with my ping. But with all of that in mind, as much as I hate to say it because I want this game to succeed, I care about this game and I genuinely love the gameplay experience with Black Ops 7. I think in many
I actually think Black Ops 7 is a great game. It reminds me of all the good things from a lot of the past games, and it still has like certain things that are good for really good players and certain things that are really good for like bad players. I think that's such an important thing to have whenever you're making a game where it's going to reach all different kinds of audiences. My issue is the lying, the accidental lying, whatever you want to call it. Like, let's be real. We know that it's different. And I know that there's going to be discrepancies between when the game is, you know, in beta and when it reaches us. We're going to have different playlists and stuff like that. Like, players are going to be playing different things, but there's going to be more players on the full game than there are on the beta. Why are we pretending like that's not the case? Not everyone has that weekend to hop on and play on the beta. Not everybody's paying attention to when this shit's going to drop, right? So when it comes to that time of year, everybody knows November, Call of Duty dropping it. Everybody knows that. So they're going to be like, all right, yeah, I bought it. We're going to hop on with the boys. And you know what? Like, it's hard to sit here and say that, well, actually our player base is a little too low. Bullshit! You guys are number one on console every month. Are you kidding me?
Ways, at least on the multiplayer side, this game is getting a lot of unnecessary hate.
Actually, you know what? I'll go even further. I have hopped into hardcore, and this is a week ago. I've been moving. I am physically sick. I don't know if you can see it on my face. My nose is. Also, I have a freaking pimple right here, bro. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? But like, I'm sick. We've been moving into our new house. Like, I'm working my ass off to get 20 different things done constantly. And so the last time I got to play on Black Ops 7 to like level up my guns was like a week ago. When I was playing Hardcore Domination, which is very popular, mind you. And I was getting the same guy, no matter if I backed out of the lobby or whatever. He started mentioning it to me. He was like, hey, Expel, I've seen you all day. What's going on, bro? And I'm like, I know. What the hell is going on? What happened to this, like, you know, like different matchmaking and stuff? I thought we were supposed to have open matchmaking. He's like, I know. What's going on? And these guys sweaty as hell. Like, what is happening?
And negativity towards it. I think they've done a lot of really great things with it. But with that in mind, as I've always said, if I don't like something or if I find something that's wrong with the game, I will always call it out. And so here it is. I don't believe the matchmaking they're using in the open playlists is the same matchmaking we saw in the beta. And while the wording is vague and technically minimally considered could mean a wide variety of things, to me, this doesn't appear to be minimally considered relative to another very important matchmaking variable, and what they've always stated over the years is king, and this is ping. If skill is genuinely minimally considered, at least the way that I would describe it being minimally considered, I would expect to see very little variance in my connection experience, regardless of...
Dude, 42 milliseconds ping on a server where it only has to account for 12 players is absurd. Like, this is multiplayer. This is not something that should happen. You should not have 43 ping in multiplayer. That's crazy.
The account that I'm using on the same system with the same internet connection, again, controlling for all of those variables, there should be a pretty minimal variance in the ping experience. And that's unfortunately not what I was seeing here at all with these tests. Now, do I think the matchmaking in this is as strict as it's been in recent years?
Actually, to his point, he said there should be less variance. And that's kind of the thing. That's really the big deal here. Don't even worry about like the ping values, right? Like, don't worry about, oh, is this one higher than this one? Think about the fact that on his main account, it was literally all over the place. It was random as shit. All of his values were crazy, but if ping's if skill is minimally considered, he should be getting that close server every time. Whatever's the closest to him, he should be getting it every single time, but he's not getting that. He's getting different servers all over the place. But then when he's on his account that is like a bot account, he's getting the same ping every time. Like, if you can't recognize something's funky with that, I don't know what to tell you.
No, I do think it is a little bit more open than what we've been experiencing. Like I said, I am seeing some more like outlier games where I do get like a very easy lobby, for instance, every now and then. So I do think it is an improvement over what we've had, but not by nearly as much as I'm sure many of us were hoping to see, and also not by as much as what we saw in the open matchmaking in the beta. Now, are there potentially other factors at play here, like the demographics that we're playing in the beta, or even the number of people that we're playing in the beta relative to the number of available playlists that could be accessed? So therefore, is the player pool that you can currently connect to right now when searching in the open matchmaking for one particular game mode, is that a very different looking demographic compared to what we were playing in the beta when searching for that same game mode? Maybe, who knows, with that beta, maybe we had so many people that were in matchmaking at that time that it didn't have to expand the ping range at all to find what the system deemed to be an appropriate skill match. And therefore we were getting faster matchmaking times with lower ping values.
So the thing is like, no matter which way you look at this, even if it's like less players, right? The thing is, there is at least at any given moment, like 700, I think 600 or 700,000 to 1.2 million players playing at low, right? Like up into that is like 2 million. Why the fuck am I getting the same guy in my lobby? I back out, I find another game, same guy. That does not make sense. There's no way that makes sense.
On average. Or maybe they've actually adjusted some variables with the open matchmaking after the fact and rug pulled us on this. I don't know for sure. All I do know is the experience that I've been having, and I know many others have been having this as well. And I'm not just...
Look, at the end of the day, I don't give a shit what they say they've done or not done. Just take it out. Take it out. Take skill out of the brackets. Do just team balancing. We've seen other games succeed with just team balancing. There's no reason to have skill in there. You have a protected bracket of players that are dog shit. That's cool. All right? Cool. Let them do their thing. Let them play the game, bro. It's all right. And for the record, I'm not talking smack. I'm just saying some people are bad at this. Like, there's things that I can tell you I'm really bad at. Like, it is what it is, right? I would accept if I was bad at a game. At the end of the day, like, some people just play to play, bro. That's okay. But give them a protected bracket, 0.6 KD and below, 0.7 KD and below. And then anybody above that, let them all play together. Just do ping and team balance. That's it. There's no reason my lobby should have 2 dudes dolphin diving beside each other while shooting at me, coming around a corner like crazy. Like, it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. Like, I'm doing it. Don't get me wrong. But not every lobby should be that. It should be this lobby has some of that, and then this lobby doesn't. And then this lobby doesn't, and then this lobby has some of that, and this lobby doesn't. It should be random. You know what I'm saying? And it's not. It's not random. It's very clear that they're manipulating the matchmaking system to make it feed into what they want us to do, which again is based on retention. So they can't sit there and be like, oh, it's skill-based matchmaking only. I swear to God, we only have minimal skill. Whenever clearly they're changing the dude's server every freaking time he plays. Like, that's so weird.
Talking about random people I've been seeing comments from. I mean, people that have been in the scene for a long time. I know they're highly skilled players. Some COD pros have even spoken on this as well. So it's not the types of people that have just been protected by SBMM all these years. And then suddenly now the open playlist is here. They're realizing they're not nearly as good as they thought they were. No, these are very good players. And many of them have been pointing out a similar trend here as well. So I definitely think something has changed, whether intentionally or demographically, something has changed here. Either way, I don't really care what caused the change. What I do care about is the fact that I'm not getting the experience.
What I do care about is the fact that they have the ability to fix that shit in a heartbeat. Like, that is not even a question. It could be done like that. Oh, skill, gone. All right, it's that simple. Whoa, they did it. Ah, what, like, my brother. How hard? How hard is it? How hard is it? Tell me. Tell me. Because clearly Treyarch did it in a day. They did it in a day. They were like, oh, Battlefield 6? Shit, we may as well just give them what they've been asking for the past 5 years. That was an option? You said it'd break everything. You remember Modern Warfare 2019? Do you guys remember that? People said, hey, Infinity Ward, what if we like didn't set up the matchmaking like this? What if we didn't disband lobbies? And you know what they said? They said that would break the whole game. We can't do that. Sorry. That's what they said to us. Like almost bar for bar. Huh? What do you mean?
That I was expecting to see
so many
based
lies
on the open matchmaking in the beta build of the game. Ping does not feel like it's king, and skill does not feel like it's being minimally considered. It definitely feels like skill is taking priority over ping at the moment, and that shouldn't be the case if it's quote-unquote minimally considered. So there we go. Those are my experiences, my quick tests that I did here, and this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. Now that things have had some more time to settle in, what has your experience been like with the open matchmaking in Black Ops 7's multiplayer so far?
So with that in mind, I also wanted to take a look at a video by JGod. Now this video is talking about Call of Duty Fatigue. So you can see it's called COD Fatigue is real. And before we dive into it, I kind of want to take a look at some of XclusiveAce's comments. So off rip, he said, update, I've been in contact. I'm going to zoom in like a mother, okay? Update, I've been in contact with Treyarch and they've been looking into the matches I was testing on my accounts. They've reiterated to me that nothing has changed with the matchmaking at all compared to the open matchmaking in the beta. However, they stated that the player demographics and playlist selections are very different in the full build versus the beta. So the discrepancy that many of us have had with our experience in the beta versus the launch is most likely due to these factors. This is something I noted in the video as a potential reason for this, and I believe that it's the case after discussing things with them. I'm hoping to see something official come out after the Thanksgiving break, so you don't have to take my word for it, but time will tell. Fuck that. No. You cannot gaslight this many people. If you are recognizing that this is an issue, you know what you could do to adjust said issue? Recognize that the change caused it to not feel good. Adjust to make it feel good. You have a thing that is good. Even if you are not actively rug pulling, you know what is happening. Fix it. Where is the confusion? It like baffles me that it's like, shit, sorry guys, it is what it is. No, what are you talking about? If you have the ability to figure out how to adjust, oh, you know what? Let's minimally consider it a little bit less. Let's change it a little bit more to where maybe it's not that big of a deal. Maybe it's a little bit easier to deal with. Otherwise, what's the point? What is the point of doing this and then being told over and over and over, COD's gonna rug pull us, COD's gonna rug pull us, COD's gonna rug pull us. We call all this like at the beta time that when it comes out to the game, it's not gonna feel the same. And you know what they do? They drop it and it doesn't feel the same. You know what COD should have done? They should have immediately been like, all right, we actually lowered the skill again. We actually lowered that bracket just a little bit more so that we can make sure that it feels the way that it did during the beta, because we know that it's a little bit different with the way that the demographics and stuff work. But if they're just going to be like, actually, it's the same, guys. Sorry. Like, brother, like we've got the biggest year ahead of us that we have had in a Call of Duty ever. You guys have more content for this game than we have ever seen. If you adjust this thing and people enjoy playing it more, you would have people that want to play it more instead of trying to force retention through the stupid ass skill minimally bullshit. Like, it does not make sense. I could sit here and have a conversation for an hour for this, but anyway. Let's see what they said. Obsidian Steed said, rug pulling the matchmaking, even though sales are down 50 to 60%. They're so effing stupid. It's unreal. True. The old bait and switch. Everyone saw it coming. 100%. Let's also take note of the fact that if you do well in 3 games in a row, it feels as if the persistent lobbies are closing. Yep. 100,000%. That is the case. They actively do close. Then it's hell in the next lobby. I knew I wasn't tripping. The open beta was actual minimal skill-based matchmaking games compared to the full game. Sheesh. When are these devs going to realize they can't hide stuff from us? We will always find out. 100% 100% correct. Devs watching now. Yeah, they literally did. It's just called them out. Let's see if there's a response. I thought I was going crazy at first, starting to feel like it's starting to feel just like prior CODs. I mean, I'm telling you, like you have people that like barely play this game, like barely, like just, you know, like an hour here and there. And if they're able to realize this stuff,
paying attention.
why do they think that we're not going to have it at a higher level where someone like XclusiveAce is going to actively test it and be able to tell that there is a difference? It does not make sense to me. You have an audience of millions of people. You don't think somewhere in that audience, someone's going to be able to whip out a spreadsheet and do the math? We're in a world where it doesn't make sense to lie. It doesn't. I'm one of those people where I just don't lie. I don't believe in lying because I feel like at some point, especially with me being someone in the public eye, it doesn't make sense because if I lie, I just get caught. There is no way that I would ever just lie about something like that. Or there's no way that I would not just constantly communicate and be like, we recognize that people are feeling like it's a little bit different. We're going to adjust some things to make it feel a little bit better. How hard is that? Now, with that said, all of this is leading to one thing, which is COD fatigue. Let's see what JGod has to say about that.
To the launch of Black Ops 7, and it seems like a lot of people got a case of the COD fatigue. And for some people, they've already had it for a while, and some it just finally caught up to them for several different reasons. And I don't blame people for having COD fatigue. Even for myself personally, there were certain elements of this new launch where I did have a little bit of COD fatigue in certain areas, whether it was specifically related to Warzone, maybe it was the MP grind year over year with the stricter SBMM or engagement optimized matchmaking, or one of the various things I'll talk about. So I don't blame people.
So COD fatigue, I like to call it matchmaking fatigue, is what I like to call it, where they've hit us with this thing, lied about it for years, announced it that it was real, gave a white paper as to why it's good, and then told us, actually, seems like people don't like this, so we're going to take it out. We're 5 years deep in this shit. Come on. This is why I hate games made by Infinity Ward, is because they'll straight up just gaslight you, bro. Just straight up. Like, I respect that at least Treyarch is being like, we recognize that you guys are feeling this way, but it is correct. Like, at least they're standing their ground in that way. Infinity Ward, they'll be like, you fucking crazy, dog. You crazy for that. I don't even know what you're talking about. Skill-based matchmaking doesn't even exist. Oh, haha, got you. Like that's what it's like when Infinity Ward takes over. Every time. I'm like losing my mind over there. I'm like, we told you this was going to be an issue. Why are we here? You said it wasn't going to be an issue. Why is this a problem? Like they told Swag, I believe, that when he went to go play Warzone for the original like launch of the Warzone, OG Warzone 2020, right? When he went to play that, they told him it would not have skill-based matchmaking in it. It launched with skill-based matchmaking. Actually, maybe they said that because it's actually engagement optimized matchmaking, and they changed their system, and that's why they told him that. Who knows?
People, I think it is one of those interesting things. We'll talk about some of the things that contribute to it. I don't really think COD can really do anything, because even with the current state of the game being as solid as it is, if you don't include the campaign of Black Ops 7 in the conversation, I think people are generally liking multiplayer and people are generally liking zombies. Not saying everyone.
Yeah, the campaign I heard was terrible, and I'm just not even going to touch on it, bro.
Because it's definitely not everyone enjoying every facet of the game, but there are several issues that have led to this fatigue, and I'll go ahead and kind of go through them, and if you relate, maybe I missed some, but I think it's worth talking about, because I think it's been a problem that's building for years. We've talked about multiple times on the channel as MW 2019 being the leading cause of a lot of these issues. And as I talk through these topics, I think many people will probably agree that that really started that trend, because so much changed in that year that actually led to all these compounding effects that have led to strict COD fatigue. I've already mentioned one part of it, which is the stricter SBMM, engagement optimized matchmaking, whichever you want to refer it to. Felt like there was this overbearing restrictiveness algorithm behind the scenes trying to like determine what your experience was going to be like in game. Became very predictable. You know that if you had good matches, it would only get sweatier. If you felt like you had bad matches for a repeated amount of time, you would probably get the occasional carrot on the stick to keep you playing, because it felt good to have.
I'm telling you, I think that's the leading cause of all of this is the matchmaking system. And it sucks because for years, people were told that like skill-based matchmaking was good. It was good because it helped the bad players get to play with the bad players, so they stayed on longer. But you know what happens? That runs out. I have been saying this for years. I've been saying this since Advanced Warfare, bro. And they made it worse with this. I've been saying for years that the matchmaking system will eventually cause fatigue because people just want to play casually. Everybody wants like a turn at feeling good. But when you play hard matches over and over and over, and then you get thrown a bone, it feels like they're handing it to you. No one wants to feel like something was handed to them. I mean, all right. Some people want to feel that. But anybody that like has any sort of competitive nature does not want to feel that way. You want to feel like you did something. You want to feel like you contributed to getting a win, right? But Call of Duty making this all about the algorithm, they take that away. The dopamine feels fake. So it's like, damn, did I buy my way here? Like, what happened? You know what I mean?
An easier match. But even when you had those good matches, it felt like it was choreographed.
I'll be damned.
Predictable, that you were expecting to get that, and you don't really get that dopamine hit because it felt like, and given a
I'll be damned. I'll be damned. Damn.
Participation trophy essentially to stay on the game, and that was really a bad thing that was introduced in MW 2019.
That's, bro, bar for bar is crazy. Bar for bar is crazy. I love this, man. I really do. I don't know if I told you guys this, but like when I went to COD Next, I sat in the hotel lobby with JGod until 2 a.m. just yapping, bro. Just yapping. I love chatting with JGod. He is such an intelligent dude. He really, really is. If he says something, just know it's the truth. Straight up. I know a lot of people like to just not believe certain creators for this reason, that reason, because they disagree with something they said in the past. Bro knows what he's talking about. I've had like a long conversation with him 2 nights in a row. Like, it's so interesting to have conversation.
Even though prior to that, there was some level of SBMM, it wasn't particularly strict. I know AW is notorious or
I'll be damned! JGod? What the hell?
or most notable for having a stricter SBMM. But besides that, I think most people felt like SBMM was way looser, less restrictive, and nothing like what we've had for the past 5 years. And even it felt like a little bit less than what we have currently, even though what we have currently within Black Ops 7 is a vast improvement over the past 5 years. And before we get too deep into it, we do have a sponsor announcement. So I'm excited to announce my new
aim controllers! Ladies and gentlemen, go get your Expel Pro Plus today for $199 on their Black Friday sale. Go get yours now. I'm gonna see if I can skip past his. I'm so sorry, buddy. Oh, hold on. And
parts, even including the paint on the part overload, which sounds kind of weird. It's like, you know, some of the games, it felt like we didn't really get enough content and they didn't maintain the game throughout the year. I think Black Ops 6 contributed to this massively because so many small maps at launch, that was really a big mark on the game because it just felt like everything was hectic, fast paced, and over the top too much. And there wasn't really any of that COD feel where you can flank and all that stuff, even though they fixed a bunch of stuff in the game and the systems.
You know what I want? Do you guys remember those maps in World at War where you literally could go so far off the beaten path? It was still a 3-lane map, but it was huge. You could find yourself a build and sit down with a sniper, pop some claymores behind you, bro. Like it felt like Warzone, but like a small, like, you know, and it was only 12 players. You know, you got your six. That stuff. Oh, I miss that. That's like the forced dopamine in these small ass maps is why I don't like multiplayer anymore. It's impossible to rotate. Spawns are terrible. So there's no way to like spawn trap, right? Unless you're playing something like domination. But even then, they'll spawn people halfway across the map. It does not make any sense to me. The spawns in recent Call of Duties are really, really bad. Really, really bad. I don't, like, there's no way around it. People saying, oh, this is the best spawns. No, they're really bad. I miss when you could just have your own space. Like, I wasn't even a camper, bro. Like, I didn't camp back in the day. But at the same time, you got to do back here with a sniper, chilling. Let that dude do his thing. You wrap around the edge of the map, you can pop. That's how I used to get my nukes back in the day on like Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, is I just wrap the edge of the map. But the issue is like they spawn people 4 feet beside you or 6 people all at once right in front of you. I don't get it. I miss that. I miss the feeling that you'd get from stuff like this. And people didn't have to be bad by any means for me to beat them and get a nuke. It was just that the spawns didn't suck. And the maps were big enough to where I had space to kind of back up. And I think that's such a big deal.
The content wasn't there, but in general, it's like there's too much content. When you go in, you got a level. There's camos, there's different modes, there's Warzone, and there's others, you know, all these other things. And it's every year, and it felt relentless, I think, for some people. And that goes hand in hand with like the battle pass fatigue. Fortnite popped off with their battle pass, and then every game every game under the sun is essentially copied that model. There's very few exceptions to that, but pretty much Fortnite popped off with that, and then in 2019. We got the seasonal battle pass, which initially doesn't feel all that bad because it kind of pays for itself, but it does feel like you're, you know, that hamster on the wheel just kind of grinding relentlessly for cosmetics, especially since those weapons are free. They're kind of just thrown in there in the early part, and it gets very predictable. We already know that we're going to get a couple weapons each season, even though season 1 has 7 weapons. Not all melee weapons or anything like that. There's a good variety of weapons in the 7 weapons they're dropping in season 1.
He's making a good point here. You know, like the forced like retention is what I like to call it. Forced retention is never a good thing. You want to give people a reason to hop in and have fun. But one thing you don't want is to force them to level their weapons, especially for something like Warzone. I'm a big fan of saying we should have all guns unlocked in Warzone. There is no reason you should have to unlock perks, unlock guns. The goal is to unlock camos. That'd be sick. Just camos, bro. Like, that would be great for Warzone. Give challenges, give calling cards. Shit like that for Warzone's great. But forcing people in a mode like that to unlock guns is super dumb. I think it's fine for multiplayer. But we've gone from like, all right, we've got guns and camos. Now we got guns, camos, player skins. We got calling cards and all this stuff that's not through challenges. It's like through just playing and getting battle pass shit. You have to buy the battle pass. You have to buy Black Cell. You have to like do all this stuff. And then you get these like bonuses throughout the year. And you like the events are good. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy to have events. But the issue is some of them are just grinding. It's just playing the game. You just have XP events, which are stupid as shit. It does not make sense. You want to give people challenges to do. One thing that Fortnite did very well is they did these weekly challenges. And you hop in. It's like, all right, well, I got to go to this big cube and I got to whack it 3 times. And then I got to go grab and I got to get 3 shield pots. And then I got to blip, 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 blip. Like, if we do stuff like that, I think those are great. I think there's a certain amount where it's like, it's got to be, you know, 5 challenges, 10 challenges, 10 weekly is probably good. And then at the end of the week, you get whatever. You can do it all on day 1 or you can get it done on day 3, 5, whatever. But at the end of the week, you get the cool thing. It also should give you some good experience, stuff like that. I think those are fine, but I think the way that they implement it is often really bad. So I think paying attention to stuff like that is going to be very important. We'll see how it goes with season 1. So,
but that's kind of irrelevant. The COD fatigue has already happened. So I've gotten a lot of comments where people don't actually even care what's in Black Ops 7.
Exactly. This is what I have been saying. JGod, brother, exactly that. Black Ops 7, great game. Dead ass. Incredible. It is as close as we will get in a modern Call of Duty to Black Ops 2. We will never see anything closer than this is ever in the future. I've been trying to say this for a long time. It's also the closest we've gotten in the last 5 years to Black Ops 2. Score streaks, gunplay, maps, all of it is close as it was to Black Ops 2 in probably the last 5, 6, maybe 7 years. I'm telling you, like, it's as close as we're going to get, which is the golden title that everybody loves. But the thing is, everybody's so fatigued, they can't even recognize that. They look at me and they're like, oh, that's a lie, dude. You got wall jumps. You got wall jumps. Yeah, no shit, you've got wall jumps. It's still 2025. It's a different game. I'm just saying it's as close as we're going to get. They still have new mechanics. We have Omni movement. Like, no shit. Like, of course. But the thing is, people don't care. People do not care. And the reason why they don't care is just because they're so tired of playing Call of Duty. And it's because they've pushed all this stuff that I've been talking about for years about how you're gonna kill your audience. This is not good. You can't keep doing this. And you know what they did? They were like, I don't know. Seems fine to me. If we keep going the short term, maybe we'll be all right. Maybe our numbers keep going up. And I'll tell you what, last year at Black Ops 6, I was almost like, you know what? I'm wrong. Maybe if they keep doing short-term like pulls and stuff like that, and if they can pull these short-term things off, and they keep doing it over and over, and they keep, you know, like, what is it called? Turn and burning, you know, all the players, because that's what they do. Just to be clear, the issue is, so when you build out a game, what you ideally want is a large audience. The way that you earn that large audience isn't by popping out a game that is most generic as possible, which is what Call of Duty is. Call of Duty is the generic FPS shooter. That is what it is. It has been since it released. It is the generic FPS shooter. This is what people, all right, I want a FPS. Get Call of Duty, right? So they became that. Now, they built trust with their community by releasing COD 4, then a banger with World at War. Then they went and hit Modern Warfare 2. They hit Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 3. They launched some incredible games. They hit Black Ops 2. They did these crazy good games. And they built that trust up. And since COD Ghosts, they have been beating the hell out of their audience. Then Modern Warfare 2019 comes out. The game itself, actually good. I enjoyed it. The problem is the matchmaking system. So every time they did something, they would just whack everybody. Like, line up, let's fucking spank your ass on the way through, you know, like hitting them with a paddle. So the problem with all of this at the end of the day is that you built up this trust and then you ripped it out one by one. Ripped it out one by one. All in the name of quick profit. Now, quick profit, great short term. Long term, if you do not have the trust of your audience, you go from, all right, well, if we go quick profit, we can keep our numbers going up and up and up and up and up and up, and we keep profiting higher and higher every year. But you're going to hit a peak where people are like, all right, I've had enough. So, and I'll give this from like a me perspective, right? So like live streaming, a lot of content creators, they'll live off of the tips that they get in live streaming or donations, whatever you want to call it. It's tips is what it is. But a lot of these creators, they'll live off of tips. Now, as someone that's been a live streamer in the past, I know that there are specific people that will give more than other people. These are going to be your top, the people that give you the most money just because they love watching you. And as appreciative as you are to those people, they are going to disappear every time. Every single time. These people have lives. They have other shit to do. You are not their main priority. And even though you're living off of the money that they give you, eventually they got to move on with their life. They cannot sit there and keep throwing money at you. And the same thing goes for these companies where they built out this game, built up all the trust, and then they were like, well, I'm making money. If we just keep doing this, we know that we can retain the player. And they recognize that the old players are starting to leave. And they're like, okay, well, we need new players. Let's do this new players that are spending more money. And then the new players spend. Everybody's fucking broke. We're in a time where nobody has money. Well, like, you can't turn and burn people when no one has money and your game has literally not been listening to their audience for years. So that turn and burn ends up being like, all right, well, we've turned and burned and now we're out of people to turn and burn. So what do we do? So now you still have the people that are like me that are trying to love the game. And in this case, they crushed it. They killed this one. This is such a good multiplayer. They're about to drop the best content they've dropped in years. But they're the freaking boy who cried wolf, bro. Every year they've been like, this is our best game ever. And then biggest year of sales ever. This is our best game ever. Biggest year of sales. This is our best game ever. Battlefield 6 drops. Ooh, actually, we fucked up a little bit. You know what? We're going to kind of pull it back. We're going to change the matchmaking system. We're going to add in this. We're going to add in this. We're going to add in this. We're going to do this and this and this and this. We don't care anymore. Like, no one cares, bro. There's nothing you can do to get these players back. You are starting at zero. Once again, you are back to Call of Duty 3. You've got to drop a COD 4. Then you got to drop like a Modern Warfare 2. You got to drop a World at War. Like, you have to start back at zero and build that audience back up. That's what it comes down to. Or don't drop a game for 4 years. That's your alternative, actually. That is what they should do, realistically. The best thing that they could do is just not drop a game for like 4 years. Do what Battlefield 6 did. Wait, drop an insanely good banger, and then Call of Duty would be back. I'm telling you, if they took this playbook, Call of Duty would be back. It's that simple, but they won't. They're not going to do that because right now they're so focused on short-term profits that they'll keep doing what they're doing. And you're going to slowly see COD do this. Otherwise, they have to keep dropping banger games on repeat. They have to drop good campaigns. Passing that shit off to Raven when Raven does Warzone is never a good idea. you fuck up Warzone, you fuck up Avalon, you fuck up the next version of Warzone. Like, you mess up all this stuff to drop a subpar campaign that makes no sense. Raven is incredible at Warzone. They crush it. Why would you throw them into that? It doesn't make sense. Anyway, that's my rant there. Let's keep going.
The campaigns suck. They don't care that multiplayer is good. They don't care that zombies. That's like all irrelevant. Like, the game existing, regardless of what the content was, is irrelevant. The fatigue is already set in, and it's unfortunate for the developers that I think put out for the most part, a decent product. If like Black Ops 7 was taken in a vacuum, it'd probably be fine, but it's not in a vacuum. It literally comes after BO6, right after Modern Warfare 3, which was immediately after MW2, which in my opinion is one of the worst CODs ever put out, even though the sales...
I'm a firm believer that dropping Modern Warfare 2 and then Modern Warfare 3 right after each other was a bad idea, and then doing the same thing with Black Ops 6 and then Black Ops 7, also a bad idea. It does not make sense because people are already tired of that kind of title and they want to switch it up just a little bit.
We're good. The actual retention dove off a cliff, and there's many metrics that show this. Along with the seasonal content, I think some of the crossovers were a little outlandish. People got a little bit burnt out on that, even though I think in the next Battle Pass or the Season 1 content, it looks like they've kept it mostly tame, but that doesn't really matter. I think they were a little bit too data driven on the meta side, especially with Warzone. I know multiplayer, they made some changes here and there when it comes to metas, but in general, the metas were pretty stale over the past couple years, and I think that leads to a lot of problems in the variety of the weapons. I think they've already been a little bit more aggressive on the initial part of it.
We have like 200 weapons and people are only using like 4.
And I think once Warzone gets those little knobs and handles to be able to choose some things and change stuff independent from the multiplayer, that'll probably be good for Warzone, but that's irrelevant. They waited too long. It doesn't matter that they're getting it right. One example I saw on Twitter, which was great, they were like, oh, so if like your girlfriend cheats on you 10 times, but then she's finally going to be an honest woman and not cheat on you anymore, like, is that just sets everything straight? No, not in my opinion. Same thing with COD. They basically abuse their player base for years, months, every season after season.
Bro, am I JGod? Are we the same dude? We're just like saying the same thing.
After season, content drop after content drop. And then they expect you to just turn around and act like nothing happened. And I've seen it the whole time. And I've actually seen the various cycles because we went through the Warzone spike and dip because people got fatigued with Warzone and some of these issues overlapping. But this is like the COD franchise as a whole. That's all whatever, right? The meta needs to change more often, and that leads to fatigue. But then there's the other side where things just generally take too long to level each year, especially with Warzone. It's like, oh, I got to get the new game just to level my...
So when Warzone drops, or when a new game drops and then the first season drops of Warzone, what ends up happening is my second channel, if you don't know, I do loadout content on my second channel. You can see that my content is constantly like doing this, like slowly going up. And then at the start of the new game, you'll see the loadout content literally drop. It just goes, and then it levels out again, and then it'll slowly work its way back up. And the reason why is because it takes too long to level up these weapons. Because people aren't looking for good weapons. They're like, I don't even know what to do right now. Like, I don't give a shit. I gotta level up these guns. I don't have time. And then right about like February, you'll see it like really get back up to where the numbers are, and then we'll actually like do well. But that's what we've seen for the last few years, and it's because Call of Duty is actively making it too hard on a game that is a battle royale to get these weapons unlocked. Same thing for BF6, by the way. Battlefield, guys, no. Shouldn't have taken that from the Call of Duty book. That is stupid.
Weapons so that I can be competitive on the day that the game comes out. I don't really even like multiplayer, so I'm going to burn myself out playing multiplayer or zombies that I don't like, or campaign that I don't like, especially now for some people. And then I'm only doing that so I can play Rebirth Island for the 6th year in a row. Those
facts, bro. People that love Rebirth Island have me going insane, dude. They had me going insane. I swear to God. Y'all are like, that's good. Oh,
those are all like issues. One of the more prominent things that I think they really missed the mark on was the loss of identity. I brought this up several years ago when how they were actually putting together their gameplay loop. it no longer mirrored what we kind of grew up with as Call of Duty. I've been playing Call of Duty since Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, all the way through the Golden Era, through the Jetpack Era, through the Supply Drop Era was second half of that, into the next gen, which is this current generation, and they basically all use the shared engine, which is great for them. They can go ahead and pick and pull things, and it carries over, and all the shared stuff. It's super useful. But the real problem with that is that shared identity of the game is too similar to the uninformed or inexperienced eye. They really can't tell the difference. They think that MW 2019 looks like MW2 and looks like MW3. Somehow Cold War looks like Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7 at the same time, even though Cold War is in its own engine. But you kind of get the point I'm going with there. Is it?
And by the way, Cold War, best looking game. Best looking game. If you put that thing to max settings, it looks better than any other game graphically. Now, style-wise, I prefer Modern Warfare, but graphically, like sharpness and stuff like that, Cold War wins by any game that they've released in the past 10 years.
Felt too samey.
Forever, really.
Even though if we go back to MW2 and MW3, the OG version, they were split in the middle with another game in the middle. So it didn't feel so samey. It took that year in between. So even though those games...
God, Vanguard. I forgot that shit existed. That was terrible.
It's very hard, even for the knowledgeable eye, to tell the difference between the OG MW2 and MW3 at a glance without actually looking at it. Okay, cool. Because they used so much that was the same. And it got that feedback back then, but those games didn't come back sequentially, like literally back to back. Yep. The same way they did with the MW2, MW3, BO6 to BO7. Creates a lot of issues. There should have been a game in between, and that removes some of that fatigue. They literally did whoever made that decision 5 years ago when they started developing, 7 years ago when they started developing MW2, or whenever that game was in development, they really screwed that up by going, let's go MW2 into MW3.
Well, no. That wasn't the plan, though. I'm fairly certain that was not the plan. And the reason why is because they were supposed to skip a year. They were going to skip a year. And they didn't. We heard this repeatedly. Hey, we're going to skip. 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 Actually, we need our quarterly earnings. How about that?
Like, stupid. And then, even though Treyarch managed to make it work for BO7, stupid to go from BO6 to BO7, in my opinion. And I think the fatigue is just more compounded because of those types of things. I will say that that's all on the developer side. I think there are some things that the community does as a whole. It's a pretty large community. There's a lot of people that just have completely unrealistic expectations of what COD should be or they want it to be. Yeah. And I know this from talking to a lot of people, seeing a lot of comments, checking out Twitter, seeing Reddit. And the reality is a lot of people that they could get their perfect COD and they still wouldn't like it. Because even when you go back to BO2, MW3, the OG1, or MW2, those weren't perfect CODs. People enjoyed them. There's a lot of nostalgia around them. They were amazing for their time. It was so awesome to experience those in their prime. We can never really have that gaming experience again. And the community sets this false expectations of things that...
And I think a big thing to remember is that the player base is so different now. During COVID, we had a big boom in gaming. So with that came new kinds of people. That's why we have so many people that cheat in the video games, is that a lot of people that cheat in video games now are not people that played these games a lot before COVID. What ended up happening is that people would hop into the games. They'd see people that were good and they'd assume that they were cheating. And the first thing that you do when you're a dog shit player and you hear that, oh, that guy could be cheating, is you're weak. It sucks, but most people are weak. So they're like, oh, well, if he can cheat, I'm going to cheat. And so it's like, oh, I'm going to level the playing field. So we get these cheaters that happen because they think people are cheating, when in reality, they probably didn't die to a cheater. And this is something that happens quite often. This is the biggest reason people cheat. It's not because people are good. It's because they believe the person that killed them was cheating. I have heard this exact thing over and over by talking to dozens of cheaters throughout the last 5-6 years. They all say the same thing. If this guy's going to cheat and Activision's not going to ban him, then I'm going to cheat. But the thing is, they do get banned repeatedly, and they still cheat because they're weak bitches. So, so that's kind of the big thing is like all of this happens during like COVID, and this big boom kind of changed all of the players. So we're never going to get that feeling that like, have you ever tried to watch a movie from the 90s and you see like that grain and you see how like it doesn't quite capture lighting the way that new digital cameras do? I'm trying to think. There's a movie with the guy that plays Michael Scott, and it's a movie where he like he starts dating this chick, or he wants to be with this chick that was like dating his like cousin or brother or some shit like that. That movie, if you know what I'm talking about, go back and watch that movie. They just don't make movies like that anymore. And it's because we've moved ahead in time. Like, you're not going to get things like that. Like, we're not driving cars with stones as wheels, you know? Like, we don't have wooden buggy and carriage that like goes normally across our roads. Like, that's something that you really are not going to get. And it's just because times have changed. It's something where we have progressed past it. More people. We're at like 9 billion people on the planet. These people are gaming more and more. The kind of people that are gaming is more and more common, you know? Like, we've got a very weak society right now because we've been given things so easily. We've constantly made it easier and easier on ourselves. So a lot of the people that are, you know, gaming right now are a little bit weaker than, you know, what a lot of us growing up had to deal with, which is like, fight for your shit. And I'm not saying like even younger or older. It's just, it depends on the way that people were raised. So we're going to see very different audiences, and we're never going to get the exact same feeling that we had back in the day. And that's kind of what sucks, is that you're always going to look at the past through rose-tinted glasses. And I think there's going to be times where it's like, yeah, this isn't what I wanted, but at the same time, it's never going to be what you wanted. You know, it's just not going to happen.
Would make it a golden era COD, but even if they just took BO2, remastered it, verbatim, like perfect one-to-one copy with great graphics, pick 10, all the streaks, all the maps identical, it would not work in today's day and age. People just would not enjoy the game. They would think it's trash in today's day and age, even though the campaign is much better than we have today. I think there's been a steady decline on campaigns over the years too. It feels like no one really plays our campaign.
It's because the campaign doesn't make money.
Even though there's people in the comments who'll say, oh, I only play the campaign. I don't know. I don't get that. I've always only played the multiplayer, and then probably in the past 8 to 10 years, I've gotten more into zombies.
You know what though? The campaigns back in the day were incredible. Like, the storylines that you had were so good. And that's why so many people played the campaign. I mean, obviously we peaked at Infinite Warfare. Like, that was the last time we felt like something in a game, like they were doing this over and over and over. But like, you know, seeing people get shot in the head at the end of Modern Warfare 2, spoilers, stuff like that. Crazy, you know? So many different things that just aren't going to happen anymore because of money. It's all money.
Combined with that, and then obviously with 2020, Warzone came out. So those are the 3 modes. Campaign's been like, oh, cool. At least this year we got a camo, and they're going to do some cool events for it later on, but doesn't really make the mode all that more valuable. I think there's other things where, because Call of Duty's been around so long, there's like way too many modes. There's a lot of fan favorites. Like, even in the season 1 blog, they talk about doing sticks and stones, gun game, and all these things are cool, but they don't really work. I think a lot of times there are fun party modes, but one of the things that separated Black Ops 1 with a lot of those introductions of party modes, which is the in-game currency of the wager system, added a ton.
That shit. Oh my God. I was going to become a gambling addict at the age of 12, bro. I swear. I wasn't even 12. Black Ops 1, I think it was 9. What was that? 2009. Oh no, I was like 11, I think. I don't know. Not 100% sure. But dude, do you guys remember the currency? That's what COD points were. That's what COD points came from. Damn it. So that was crazy. You hop in and you wager 10,000 COD points. That's how you unlock stuff in the game. That's how you get camos. If I wager this, I can unlock everything. And if you're a demon at it, you go crazy on the sticks.
Ton of replay of value, and you can do those different types of modes, and there was something you were competing for. Just like with these little events that they're doing where you play it, if they isolated it to a specific mode and you could actually 1v1 people in tournaments or something like that, and then you would get rewards there's different ways that they can do it. I don't think the system that we have now is better than that wager system, but that was before there was COD points and all these other things. You just had the in-game currency that was used to unlock camos and upgrade attachments, and it was a completely different system. I also think that the expectation of the meta changes has shifted significantly. Like I was talking about, they don't update it enough. If we go ahead and look back at the old days in the Prime, basically they would do like 3 updates a year. Something like insane like that. Maybe 4 at the most.
That's because the game shipped finished. The only game that didn't ship finish, if I'm not wrong, back in the day was Black Ops 1. It launched and there was a ton of issues, and I remember for like a month there, everybody was pissed. If you don't believe me, go back, look it up. Black Ops 1. I remember playing WMD and having this conversation and watching like a video of someone playing WMD or something like that. That's how my brain works. But Black Ops 1 did not ship finished. Aside from that, there were not many updates. It was just like map packs.
Most, unless something was completely broken, it would just stay that way and it would just be broken. And there's patches that would have gone through to fix some of those things. It's just that update tempo didn't exist. They would just pump out their DLC every 3 months, and that was a content drop, and it felt okay, whatever. But the seasonal model, it just feels like you're on that hamster wheel. And a lot of games go through that fatigue, but when you've been doing it for 20 years, like Call of Duty has, it's significantly worse. And one thing I have talked about quite a bit is their store. And if you guys have been following the channel for a while, you know that I basically buy nothing in the store, even though I have a decent amount of COD points to buy stuff. I basically just get the battle pass, grind that out, and that's it. I don't really invest in all these microtransactions because I feel like they're overpriced. And this is one thing that drastically shifted with Fortnite, and games like COD copied, but it's just absurd to charge a $70 game and then act like your game's free to play and charge for the microtransactions. The microtransactions should be easily half the price, or even more of a discount than they currently are if they're going to charge $70 for the game. And I think realistically they could charge $50 for the game and it would be in a much better state knowing that's going to come out each year. Even if it was a DLC, DLCs cost that a lot of times. They're either $29.99 or $49.99, and this gives you the expansion or whatever the case is, like all these other games do. COD should have leaned into that, cut their microtransactions, and then the perception of the greed would be much lower. But of course, they don't, because it's Activision, owned by Xbox now. Everyone's like, oh, they're going to be the saving grace. Xbox is going to come in, clean house, and fix it all. All they did is just fire a bunch of people, and nothing changed.
Dude, I swear, I had this conversation and I was like, when have you ever heard of Bill Gates doing like great things? For every good thing that man has done, it got 10 times worse right after. Like it never makes sense to me that people are like, yeah, Xbox is going to save us. They've saved so many. The fuck they have? No, that is not a thing that happens. It's all about money. Do you think they bought a freaking multi-billion, billion, what was it, like $70 billion? You think they bought a $70 billion company and they were like, yeah, we're not going to focus on profits. We're going to make people love this. No! Why would, what? Absolutely not. It's all about money.
Like it is what it is. And they even went with this system where there was some carryover, but then because of the timelines, there's so much stuff that doesn't even make sense that it would take place in MW3 and carry over with the Warzone cosmetics and all that stuff, created another issue. But then that's anti-consumer because if somebody buys something, they can't carry it over to the next game. And like there's other systems that like they tried to copy Fortnite, but then they didn't like think it through. And then they gave us some cosmetics and they pulled some back, and then they're undecided on what they want to do, and that just doesn't work. And probably one of the last things that I'll go ahead and talk about is the anti-cheat. Before the integration of MW 2019, there was no crossplay. Basically, you played on console with your own individual console, so PlayStation only, Xbox only, and then Steam or Battle.net was it only. I don't know. I didn't play on PC then. And basically, that's all it was. There was tons of cheaters on PC still, and the worst you'd get in a console lobby is maybe someone using a jitter mod for their trigger.
Yep.
And, you know, people selling snake oil for aim assist and whatever other nonsense.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, that's kind of how it was. And for essentially 15 years, we had no cheating issues in console. It was great. You never had to question the kill cam. You never had to question if the person you were fighting against was legitimate or not, if they were using some kind of weird walls. And then 2019 eroded all that. The crossplay, we got a crash course in people are scumbags, and they're going to use every cheat in the book to try and make stuff happen. And the anti-cheat was horrendous garbage, never worked.
What anti-cheat?
And when Warzone came out, it was free to play. It had its issues too, and right out the gate caused a lot of issues, and that turned a lot of people off of the game. And I know that that's one of those things that feels like it's much better this year. In terms of like the amount of times you'll actually run into a cheater seems significantly lower. We'll find out more with the season 1 update if it actually benefited Warzone, because I do see people posting like screenshots or tweets of people saying, hey, look at this guy live streaming his cheats or whatever the case is. But I haven't actually ran into one. And from the streams I've had up from grinding my camos at the same time, I haven't really seen them.
Yeah, I've not ran into a cheater as well. Like, they're still on Warzone, don't get me wrong, but like, I haven't ran into a cheater in Black Ops 7. And the thing is like, oh, you can see this guy live streaming. Brothers went through 12 accounts. He's getting banned, like, over and over and over. Like, there's only so much that can be done. And I'm not, like, this is not me taking up for them, but we've been through this for 5 years. I have seen Call of Duty at their lowest of low with this anti-cheat, non-existent. And to compare now to then, is a laughable difference. It is absurdly different, and people's inability to recognize that and just call everybody a cheater is just, oh, it's exhausting. And I get it, again, boy who cried wolf, but like, god dang it, it's tough. It's one of those things, because this is the best place we've been in with anti-cheat. People are actually not cheating in this game for the most part, or they're trying to and not succeeding very well. So damned if you do, damned if you don't right now, because of all the crap they've done to their audience.
Run into them. So it could be better, but that doesn't matter. I've talked about this when I did a video several months ago that the discourse was gone. I talked about it. I said there is no discourse. People have made up their mind. They've already made the decision. And that's kind of led into, like, that was a precursor to Call of Duty Fatigue. And that's kind of where we're at now. And for me, personally, it sucks on the YouTube side, because every comment like, hey, you know, the game sucks, you know, oh, blah, blah, just negative, right? And then there's some, you know, real ones in there in the comments. I'm sure you guys will comment here too. But there's like real ones that comment and be like, hey, JGod, still love your videos, you know, whatever the case is, you know, they're chill, vibe, you know, supportive. And I appreciate that, because it is a toxic, negative place in the comment section. And this is why, like, creators like XclusiveAce went and started his own independent channel separate from it, to try and, like, you know, cull some of those people off. And even in my case, obviously my biggest pop off was Warzone, but I had over 100,000 subscribers before Warzone was ever a thing. And one of the things that is interesting is every video I post is significantly hurt, because it'll say subscribers aren't watching. Well, of course not. They're not interested in Black Ops 7. They either have COD Fatigue, they're Warzone only, they're waiting for that season 1 Warzone meta that's not going to come. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to break it to you. Like I said in my video about Warzone, I don't plan to cover that probably until Blackout 2. And even then, I probably won't cover it. And we'll kind of just see where it goes. If the views are bad on YouTube, it's okay. I enjoy it. That's the main thing. I've said before, I'll say it again. I enjoy making content, and that's kind of where we're at. I'm having a lot of fun with the current game, despite the COD fatigue. It'll be really interesting to see what happens with MW4 next year.
Bro, I mean, Black Ops 7 is basically Call of Duty too little too late. That's where we're at right now. That's the reality of it, is that Call of Duty is just too little too late. That's what sucks, man. You can only do so much. So either way, I appreciate you guys so much for watching. I hope that you come back and watch me play Warzone sometime soon. And I'll see you in the next one. Let me know your thoughts in a comment down below for real though. Did you buy it? You gonna buy it? You just gonna play Warzone? You gonna play when Avalon drops for Blackout 2? Or are you gonna watch this video on screen right now? Click it. Subscribe. Click it.